So here's our sourdough starter after being left overnight after its second feed. As you can see, plenty of bubbles, that's the main thing. So that pot should be about just over 200 grams. We need about 200 grams for our recipe this morning. So for all the effort to make the sourdough, I usually like to make enough to make 2 loaves at one go. So what we need first of all then is 900 grams of flour. So we'll just scoop that out into that. With the size of my scales, I need to do it in 2 goes. That's 500. Okay, just stick that straight into the bowl. And then we'll need another 400 obviously to make it more quantity. So I just use this plastic cup scoop. There we go, 400. Lovely. Now what I normally like to do is put half of that into the mixing bowl and leave about half. Make sure you know how much it is, about 200 grams in the pot. And the reason for that is that it makes it a lot easier to put your starter in, and when you weigh it out it doesn't stick. So just get a spoon for that. Okay, so we want 200 grams of starter, so we'll make our weight up here to 400 grams, that'll be. So, and if you can see that, it's got quite a nice consistency. You can hear it. So top that up. So 200 grams will take us to 400. Okay. Doesn't matter if there's a slight bit more. We've actually got enough or plenty left over to keep the starter going. So normally all you actually need is just a little scraping in the bottom. We've got plenty left in there actually, but you only need the smallest of scrapings to keep it going. That can just go back in the fridge. The idea is that the scrapings, it means you don't have to keep feeding your starter all the time. So the reason I left the flour in here is that when you come to, you don't have to, but I like to put it into the water, as it saves a lot of it sticking in the pan. So just gently scrape that, roll it off the top and into the water. This just saves a lot of it from sticking on your weighing pan, makes it a lot easier to clean up later. Just a little tip. Okay, fair enough. Doesn't matter if a bit of flour goes in with it. So once that flour goes back into our bowl, just a little bit stuck on the edge, not much. Okay, so then I just normally give that a slight stir, just so it makes it spread easier through the dough. Then we want 3 teaspoons of salt. So again, remember the thing is that you don't want to get your salt in contact with your starter, because that will kill the bacteria. So I normally like to put 3 teaspoons of salt. That's about 18 grams. And then I normally just stir that in a bit into the flour to disperse it through the flour. Give that a little mix in, dry mix. Make a hole in the middle. Okay, and then we've just got our yeast and water mixture. And starter and water mixture, so just pour that in into the hole in the middle. You can do it bit by bit if you want, I don't really bother. Quick and easy, give it a little swirl to get it in there. If you want to get all that out, tip that straight in go. And then basically just give that a stir in to combine it. So the idea is you don't have to mix it or knead it or anything like that. It's just to combine your ingredients. Be careful at this stage because it can splash out on you, so just do a gentle motion to work it all in. So I don't know if you can see that in there at the moment. Just want to work that a bit more to combine that. And the idea is once you do a rough combine, you just cover it over with a tea cloth, leave it for half an hour so the water can absorb, helps it all mix together a bit more. You can put your hands in there if you want, but I use my little dough scraper. So again, just combine that in. Obviously you'll find a lot of dry flour sits on the bottom, so try and scoop that up and around. I'll just give you a quick picture in there. So again, you can just see the loose flour sitting at the bottom. So just work that in. Spend ages trying to scoop it all together. If you can see that, yeah. So most of it's come together, just a little bit left at the bottom. If you can get it, all good. Scrape that off the scraper. Okay, so there you can see the kind of consistency, kind of combined. Just cover it over, and we'll come back to that in half an hour. You can just rinse off your scrapers and things. A little clean up in the meantime. And what I like to do, because I've got such a bad memory, I like to just jot down my timings. So just on a piece of paper. So half an hour from now, it takes me to 9:05. So 9:05 I'll be back. And then give it its first fold. So just cover that over with a tea cloth. And that's it. So there we are, half an hour, lovely sunshine coming through the window. So now what we need to do is just put approximately 12 turns. You can do more if you like, just to start building a little bit of structure into our dough. So what I normally do is just spray down the worktop to stop the dough sticking. And I keep a little tray, a little bowl of water to dip my hands in, which comes in handy, saves it your hands sticking. So then we just have to get the dough out of the bowl. So I'll try and do it this way. So just scrape out. Okay. Just loosen up a little bit. However you like to do it out, I just need to tip it out onto the damp surface. There we go. Okay, then just dip your fingers in the bit of water, stop them sticking, and just basically spread this out. I hope you can see that. Right. Let's just move that. So just Spread the dough out. You can see the gluten has started to work. And basically just take a corner, a little bit of a stretch, fold it in. 2, 3, 4. It's quite sticky, you can see that's why you need to dip your fingers. A high hydration, so that's 5. Just work your way around. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, let's do a couple more, 13, 14. Okay, just flip it over, dip your hands and just put it together a little bit. Cup it round into a bowl, lift it up straight into there, just wash your hands. And then all it needs is a little spray of water on the top just to stop it drying out. So obviously you'll see it's a very wet dough, very high hydration compared to normal, so just give it a little squirt on the top, cover it over, and then leave it, depending on the room temperature, approximately 2 hours. I don't like to make it a critical science, so 2 hours, maybe a bit more, 2.5, see what fits in with it, with how busy you are, what you're doing at the time. Don't forget to write it down. So that'll take us to, we'll look at it at 2 hours from now, 11:05. But yeah, 11:30 wouldn't hurt. See what you think. So the idea is just to build a bit of structure into the dough. So we're going to do the next time around 6 or more folds approximately, and then another 6, and we'll get back to you later. So we'll come back in to 2.5 hours something. Okay, so there's a good example. I've gone a bit over time, it's been a bit busy. It should have been 11 o'clock for the next 6 turns. It's now just gone 12. So the same principle, just squirt the deck. Okay, I've left my dough scraper. So basically you just want to tip this out again. Might just help with a little squirt in there to loosen it. So you see it's quite sticky. So the high hydration of sourdough. So let's try and get that out of here. And loosen it off, out onto the table. Kind of peels itself, work itself out of the bowl. There we go. Okay. So again, same principle. See if you can see that. I don't know. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So just see if you can see the stick there. So just stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do a couple more. Be generous. 7, 8. Flip it over. Just ball it up a bit. Into the top, little squirt, cover it over. See you in the next 2 hours or so. So here we are again, 2 hours later, and again we're going to do 6 turns, same as before, 6 turns this time, and then we'll leave it for an hour. So just so you can see that got a bit of rise in there, a bit of air as well. You can see that. So again, just squirt down the worktop. Just squirt on the top. Okay, a scraper. And then same thing again, just loosen it off. And then we just tip it out. Give it a bit of a wiggle, it kind of starts to come out on its own. That's the plan anyway. Give it a little scrape to help it on its way. Oh, there we go. There we go. So as you can see, it's quite a wet dough. Dip your hands. Again, just another, you see it's got quite a bit of air in it. So again, just a stretch. 1, 2. If you need to de-stick it a bit. 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should be 6, they say, but I could do a little bit more. 7. Okay, straight. 8. Flip it over. Okay, just tuck it under. You see it's sort of kind of holding together now. Hopefully you can see that, and then just back into the pot. Squirt with water, cover it over. This time we leave it for an hour and then we'll be into our pre-shape. So that's it. Okay, so I was busy working, we left a bit longer than maybe ideal. It's now 4:15, but it shouldn't be a problem. So there we go, we can see there's quite a difference with the dough. So now I'm just going to do our pre-shape. So basically just sprinkle the deck with a little bit of flour. This one does seem quite wet, but we'll do the same. So we'll just scrape it out. Okay, same idea, just shake it out. You can scrape it out as well if you want, but as you can see, it kind of, if you let it do its own thing, it pulls itself out pretty much. Just a little helping hand. There we go. Okay. So now, just make a bit of flour for your fingers. And at this stage, you divide into 2. If it's a bit sticky underneath, you can always just shush a bit of flour around underneath. And just divide roughly in half. Okay, set that to one side. Okay, so this one then. We just like to spread it a little, fold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flip it over, just set it aside. So if you want, you can just give it a bit of tighten it up a little bit if you like to do that. So do this one. Just treat it gently to keep as much air in as we can. And just 1, 2, 3, 4,
That should be enough. Flip it over. This one's slightly drier, so it's easier. Just give it a little tighten up. And just set it on a bit of flour, just so it's easier to work with later. Not too much, because obviously you don't want to dry that out. Basically, just cover it over again now. Leave it for an hour. And then it can be shaped ready for the going into the banneton. So there we are, an hour's gone by. We've left these to rest. Okay. So what's a good idea to do is just pre-flour your bannetons. These have got the linen inserts, which makes it easy to get rid of or to tip out the dough later. So I use an organic wholemeal. It's quite grainy, coarse, and then it doesn't absorb so much into the loaf and allows it to tip out easier. So just gently dust those in preparation. So then just spread it around, as you can see. And you don't tap it down on the deck too hard, otherwise it all falls into the middle. So basically we just take one loaf at a time, just divide them off. Okay, so the bottom is now the sticky side, because obviously the water's drained down towards the bottom. So the first thing we want to do is to go ahead and flip it over. Just put a little bit of flour down, just flip it over. Okay, just so we can move it gently. Move it out, and then I kind of stretch it very slightly, and then we gently pull out the side, tuck it into the middle, push down. Same the other side, stretch it, push into the middle, tuck it down. As you can see, it's still quite tacky, and then gently just widen the bottom end, and then just roll it over, squeeze down, roll, squeeze down, roll, squeeze down. You can see it's still very tacky. Roll, squeeze down, and then squeeze your last seam. That helps it just to stick. Give it a light coating, just with a bit of flour. I like to roll it over so it becomes free, and then seam side up into the banneton. As you can see, it's still quite fluid. Gently lower it in. Quite sticky, that one. Okay, there we go. So same again, slight dusting. Okay, let's flip it over. That's why the dough scraper is really helpful. Just flip it into your flour again, just gently, lightly stretch. Okay, and the same again. So just stretch, tuck, squeeze. Fold into the middle, tuck and squeeze. Hopefully this is all coming out on the camera. Slightly wider at the bottom, and then roll, squeeze, roll, squeeze, roll, squeeze, and then the last one, just squeeze it up nice and tight. Okay, there you go, just a slight dusting. Just to stop it getting too sticky. There we are, seam side up, gently lower it in, just make sure it's squeezed, and then that's it. You can just leave it in the fridge now, cook it whenever you like it. You can cook it first thing in the morning. I like to leave it a bit longer, so it gives it a nicer flavour, so we cook it maybe tomorrow evening, and we'll see you then. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock the following day now. I've been working on my van, getting it fixed, so I've left the bread for quite a while. So as you can see, it's got a springy top. So I'll use a couple of peel boards. It makes it easier to put it into the oven. So the oven is on about 240, as high as it can go, and there's a tray and 2 Pyrex dishes heating up in there. So I just dust the bread peels with a little bit of organic wholemeal, again because of the coarse texture. It'll allow it just to slide off into the oven, into the Pyrex dishes without burning your hands. So basically just flip it out. As you can see, it comes out really easy with the linen inserts on the bannetons. Okay. So I've got the kettle boiling in the background, because you'll need to have a tray at the bottom of the oven, so that's really hot to pour your hot water and that will generate the steam when you put your bread in. So basically I just use a little craft knife and then with a slight angle, straight line down, just to score it. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll go over to the oven, pour the hot water in, and then we'll try and get a time lapse of the bread as it goes. So hopefully we can see the oven from there. Have to go a bit lower. Okay. Sorry about the camera work. There we are, hopefully you can see that. So the kettle's just boiled now. Just take these over to here. So as you can see, there's 2 Pyrex dishes there. Oh, I've left a rack in there, I don't really need that. I'll get rid of that. Shimmy it into that. Pour your boiling water onto the little baking pan. And there we are. We'll see if we can set up on the time lapse. So it's had 15 minutes at about 240. So what I normally do is just turn the oven down at about 200 for the next 10 to 15 minutes. You can take the tray out with the water and keep very careful so it doesn't need to steam anymore. Just check it. The oven's hot on one side, so let's turn in. Careful. Another top tip is you put your bannetons in the top oven to dry those out. You can't see those, but you can leave those to dry out. So another 10 to 15 minutes just to make sure it's fully cooked. That's it, we'll show you when we're done. Okay, so that's 15 minutes up approximately. Just turn that oven off. Let the steam out. They're done. Yep. Just put them on a rack and cool off. Make sure you leave them a long time to cool off, because if you cut them too soon then it makes them go soggy. Maybe you can hear them cracking as they cool. And there it is, 2 sourdough loaves. Nice crispy bits, which I like. Easy as that.
Okay, so it is the next day here, and as you can see, last night I couldn't resist the temptation. We did have to have a try a slice of the bread while it was fresh, but just to show you this how it came out, and this one's going in the freezer, so I'll just show you that. It's always a guessing game what the consistency is going to be inside. There we can see. Lovely soft in the middle. There we are, that's all it is. So I just wanted to make this little video. Just so many people have been concerned about making sourdough and how complicated it is, but really you can make it as complicated as you like really, but you can do it very simply as we've shown with the starter. You just need a scraping to keep it maintained. That'll stay happily in the fridge for weeks really. People say you have to keep feeding it, you don't. But if you don't use it for maybe 2 weeks, that starter, then it's always good to feed it in 2 stages. But just do equal amounts of your organic wholemeal flour to equal amounts of water. And as we saw, you just need a pot full. Will do your 2 loaves. So depending on what quantity, you can make that in a bigger, store it in a bigger container. But it's very easy to maintain. And just the folding, there's no stress, no pressure on your hands or anything like that. A little bit sticky as you saw, but obviously the higher hydration the dough, about 80%, 70 to 80%, that gives you a really nice light loaf. So if you do it a bit drier, it can be a bit heavier. And just remember to let it cool right down before you cut into it, because that lets it just kind of finish cooking in a sense, so it doesn't go a bit soggy inside. So that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out any future videos that I may be making, which will probably be none, but we'll wait and see. And just to really see how easy this was during lockdown. So I've been doing this since last March. We started the sourdough, and we've not bought bread since. So it shows you how good it is, and it works very cheap, no additives. During the course of lockdown last October, I tripped and dislocated my finger and broke this little finger, so I'm getting better now. But that's why, again, you don't need any heavy working on the dough. So even through having a damaged hand, I could still make bread. So hope you enjoy this. Enjoy your loaf of bread, and be sure to enjoy the whole process. Thanks for watching.